continuing on from there, I actually got to the World Trade Center complex, which was really neat. None of the original 7 buildings that were there before the attacks of 9/11 are still standing. They all got pretty much destroyed, or the ones that were pretty damaged badly. They just tore those ones down, and all 7 buildings are gone. And the new World Trade Center complex is going to build another. When it's finished, it's going to have 7 buildings as well. So right now there's at least 2 that are under construction. One of them being the very tall one, the one that's called One World Trade Center, number 1. And there was one that was completed as well. And there's also a memorial that's there, or sort of a museum for the victims. And another thing they're doing there was the two spots in the ground where the twin towers were built are going to be preserved there. They're not ever going to build anything there again. They're just a memorial, and they can sort of show an outline of where the buildings once were. And I think that part was closed today. When I tried to get near there, the police blew a siren at me or something. I wasn't supposed to be there. There was a lot of construction in that area. I think that part must have been closed off. So I didn't get to see that. But I did see a memorial that had been set up on a building that was nearby there. That was a memorial for all the firefighters that had gotten killed in the September 11th attacks. Because of course the way that the events unfolded on that day was that the 2 planes hit the building, and the firefighters, they rushed to the scene, and they, were trying to put out this massive fire that was going on. And little did they know that the damage from the airplanes actually caused the Trade Center buildings themselves to collapse and fall straight down, and anything that was around that building, trying to put out the fire or trying to save people, pretty much just got squashed by this whole enormous, extremely tall building falling on top of them. New York Fire Department was hit really hard by that attack, because they had all of their best guys right on the scene, working on trying to save New York from the worst disaster that it's ever seen. There was a memorial for that, and around that memorial there was a tour that was going on, and I wasn't a member of that tour, so I didn't really listen too much, but there's a guy talking about it, and it was a little bit interesting hearing his story. And there's also another guy that was there, and I don't know whether he was associated with any actual tour company, but he was very enthusiastic about telling people about what really happened, and he kept asking people, so how many World Trade Centers did there used to be? And people usually said 2. And he would say, no, there were 7. I speak only the truth. And it was pretty interesting. He had a little book that he kept showing pictures of and just telling the story. It was interesting because the memorial part wasn't open, so that kind of gave me the experience that I was hoping to get from being there. So as I was leaving the World Trade Center area, I was just coming over this passenger walkway over West Street at the bottom, the Hudson River side of the World Trade Center site. And as I was going across, all of a sudden I heard all this commotion, all these whistles blowing and sort of horns honking, and so I looked out there, and there was this big group of people all wearing red T-shirts, and they were all making a whole bunch of noise and sort of in a big group there, and I didn't really know what it was. I went down lower to see sort of what their sign said, and it was a union that was on strike. The union is called the CWA union. I don't really know what they do. Their sign said something about Verizon Wireless, the communication company. They're somehow related to them, but I really haven't done any research on what that actually was. But anyway, though, there's more to hear about them as the day unfolded. So I'll tell more about that when we get near the end of the story. So anyways, after World Trade Center, I went and to around the City Hall area, and I looked at a few buildings that I wanted to see. First, I saw the Woolworth Building, which is located at 233 Broadway Street, and so that building was a very early skyscraper. It was finished construction in 1913, and at the time it was the world's largest building, and it kept that title from when it was completed in 1913 up until 1930, when the other three big buildings in New York City were built, being the 40 Wall Street, the Chrysler Building, and the Empire State Building. Those three buildings all came right at the same time, and they overtook the Woolworth Building. But it still had a run of almost like 17 years of being the tallest building in the world. So it was a pretty neat building, actually. It had very detailed stonework on the outside of it, and it was really neat seeing it. It had a little plaque on it from the Preservation Society. So right in that same area, right kind of across Broadway, on Park Row Street, there was the Park Row Building, which was another early skyscraper that was completed in 1899, and of course it was also at one time the world's tallest building. It was the world's tallest from 1899 until 1908, so it was before the Woolworth Building. And unfortunately, while I was there, it was being restored, so they had kind of scaffolding all over the front of it, so you couldn't really get the sense of what the building was supposed to look like. But you can see the top of it, which had the two big domes on it, which was kind of neat to see. But it was, it's kind of hard to see it. But when it was built, it was a very prominent building in the skyline of New York City. Like, I saw a picture that was taken, I don't know, in the black and white days, taken from Brooklyn, and you could see, all these little buildings, and there was this huge building sticking up, the two little domes on the top, and that was the Park Row Building. And right now, it's just there's so many other buildings that are taller than it because everything else grew up around it. So right near the Park Row Building, there was a hardware store that I decided to go inside because one of the things that I forgot to bring with me for my bike was zip ties, which I'm going to use to attach a milk crate to the carrying rack on the back, because I really like using milk crates for traveling around. And when I brought my bike, I couldn't bring the current milk crate that I had on it beforehand, just because it was very big and it wouldn't fit in my suitcase, or it was too big for the bike box as well. So my plan was to bring the rack here, bring zip ties, and then get another milk crate from this city and put it on just for my trip here, and then take it off when I'm done. And so that was the plan. So I needed zip ties to do that. So I went to the hardware store and I bought the zip ties. After that, I went just again right in the same little area. That's where New York City Hall is. So right outside of City Hall, there's this little park, City Hall Park. And right now they have some art sculptures which are on display in that park, which I took some video of. There was an interesting rainbow sort of thing right when you came in through the main gate. And there was also all of these white sort of square sort of structures that were there that were less interesting than the rainbow thing, for me in particular. But it was there. It's art, so it's there for people to look at. Another thing that was in that park was this fountain, which I thought was pretty neat. I don't know how old it was, but just had lots of jets of water spraying up, and then when the water drained, it came through this little mouth sort of shape in the stone, which sort of trickled out like someone was blowing water out of their mouth. And that fountain also had these lanterns that had flames inside them, so they were burning some sort of a gas or maybe kerosene or something in this fountain, and they were just illuminating these lanterns and that was pretty neat. Might be a very, very old fountain, and those lanterns might be original. I'm really not sure about that fountain. So I didn't really get a great look at the City Hall building. Right now it's undergoing some restoration as well. It's kind of got scaffolding covering at least half of it, it seemed like. And you couldn't really get close to the steps of the front of the building because it's all gated off, and you got to go through security to get through into there, and you probably need some sort of a special pass. Which is a little bit disappointing because there's some significance to the stairs of City Hall. After Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, they brought his coffin there for a day or so before he was buried, just because he had such a strong connection with the city of New York. So while I was standing outside of City Hall, I got my first look at the Brooklyn Bridge. The Brooklyn Bridge pretty much